In our tutorial today, we are going to learn how to implement and to use triggers in an SQLite database using the ADO.NET data providers, and also we are going to use C# as our choice language. So basically, what are triggers? Triggers, I can simply put it that they are events. These, in this case, database events. Just the same way when you capture button events, when maybe you perform a click operation on a button, an event is raised, that is the click event, and code that runs when you perform that particular event will run. So it is also basically the same with our triggers, and these are database triggers. That means when a particular event happens, or when a particular operation happens in the database, an event is raised, a trigger is performed. And we can be able to do something useful out of that event that has been raised by the database, or that trigger that has been performed. We are going to do something useful with that. And in our case, when I click on the insert contact, an insert operation will happen in the database, and that will raise an event, that is a trigger. And you can be able to capture that insert operation trigger. And for the triggers, can capture either an insert operation, it can capture the update operation, it can also capture the delete operation. So just depending on your project, you can be able to capture all these operations using the trigger. So that means when I insert a row inside my table in the database, then a trigger will be initiated, and in that trigger it will do something, and in our case it will keep logs for those insert operations. So that is actually what we are going to do. So before I run this project and you see what happens, and we write code for the create trigger and the drop trigger, I will double click. So the first time our form loads and runs, there are two tables that are created. The table log, this will log the information out of the insert operation that happens, and it is the trigger code that will do that. And also we are going to create table contacts. So these table contacts will save the contact information from the insert contact button. So let's see the table log code. So it's very simple. Here we are going to create a table if it does not exist, and the table name is going to be called TBL log. And here there is a log ID, which is the primary key and an integer, and there is the contact ID, which is also an integer, and the contact name and the log date. Here for the contact ID and for the contact name, we are going to retrieve these values from the contacts table, and we'll see how we'll do that through the triggers that we'll create. But for the log ID, which is primary key, it will auto increment, and also for the log date, we are going to supply SQLite date functions to be able to automatically supply the date. So let's see the table contacts. So here it will create TBL contact if it does not exist, and these are the values, the ID that will capture, and also in our case we'll also capture the first name. And so this is the table that is going to be created. So these two tables, the TBL log and TBL contacts, they are going to be created immediately our form loads, that is if they do not exist already. And if I go up here, you can see I have imported the system.data.SQLite and the system.data libraries, and here there is the connection string with the attribute data source with the value contacts.db. This is the name of my database, and also I'm using version 3 of the SQLite database, and also the new attribute which we have given a value of true means that if the SQLite database does not exist, then a new one should be created. So I think that is enough for this explanation. So I will run this project so that you can see what happens. So in this case, I will click on the insert contact, and when I click on the insert, in the TBL contacts, information is going to be inserted, which is the Michael Phelps, and there is the TBL log. Nothing is being inserted in the TBL log for now, because it is the trigger that is going to insert information in our TBL log table. So when I press on insert contact again, we can see there is another row that has been inserted. The values are the same, but the IDs are different, but still in the log table there is nothing that happens, not until we create a trigger. So let us see the insert contact code. So this is the insert code, and basically it performs an insert operation in the TBL contacts, as we saw, and these are the details and these are the values. So whenever I click on the insert contact button, you are going to see the same values, except of the ID column, which is auto increment. That is actually what is going to change. So that's it, and therefore let us now create the trigger code for our SQLite database. So we are going to supply a SQL statement for the trigger, and therefore I will create a string variable, and I will name it SQL, and I will supply it with a string value, and here I will say create trigger, and the name of our trigger is audit log, and this trigger or this event should happen after an insert operation. So here I will say after insert on TBL contacts. Now TBL contacts is the name of our contacts table that we have created here. As you can see, this is the TBL contacts. So that's the name of the TBL contacts, that's the name of our table. So these event should only be raised when an insert operation happens in the table contacts or the TBL contacts. Then here we are going to begin now to write the code what should happen when a trigger is performed or when an event is raised. Then we'll say begin. It is case insensitive, but I'm just mixing the uppercase and the lowercase so that you may be able to understand. But if you use all small letters, it's okay. So I'll say begin insert. Now after insert operation has happened, now our trigger will perform another insert, and that insert is going to happen in our TBL log. This table log. So I will copy, and I will come to paste here. So after the insert has happened, Control V, another insert we are going to perform through the trigger, and that is to perform an insert inside the TBL log. So we're going to insert into TBL log. Yeah, they're supposed to be into TBL log. I will press some tabs so that I can format it. TBL log, and here in the TBL log, as you saw here, there was the log ID, and there was the contact ID, and there was the contact name. Because this is primary key and it's auto increment, we are not going really to do much with that, but we will capture the contact ID. We just leave it the way it is. Then we are also going to get the contact name, this one, comma, and also we are going to insert a date. Now after we've done that, we are going to provide the values, and the trigger in SQLite database provides some keywords, that is the new, and there is also the old, especially old can be used when you're using update and delete, but for our case we are going to focus with the new. So the new keyword will hold information from the record that we inserted in the TBL contacts. So I will say new dot ID. So this is the ID of the contacts table, and I will also say new dot first name. So the new keyword will give me information from the TBL contacts for the first name. You can use even the last name, the gender, whatever you want, but here because I want a name, I'll just use the new dot first name. And also we are going to use the date time function of the SQLite database, and I will say now this is to capture the date. And as far as we are concerned, I will put on a semicolon to end that. And before I finish that, because we say that this should begin, I will also specify an end to the operation or to the event that this event has ended here. So as far as we are concerned, that is what we need, and I will put a semicolon, and therefore I will start now to write a do.net code to implement this trigger. So here I will SQLite connection. I will create a connection object. Then I will say connection equals new SQLite connection, and here we are going to supply the connection string, and the connection string is the one that it's up here. Here you can see this is our connection string. Then we are going also to create a command object. So let's say SQLite command, SQLite command. Then I will say command equals new SQLite command, and I'm going to supply the connection object to our command object. We are going to specify the command type, so it's a command dot command type, and it is going to be text, so it's a command type dot text. We are also going to specify the command text, command dot command text equals this SQL variable that we created here holding this information is going to be our command text, or say SQL. Now we'll check if the connection is is closed, and if it's closed we are going to open. If it is open, we'll continue with executing these SQL statement. So I will say if connection dot state equals connection state dot closed, then this should happen. I will say connection dot open. So yeah, it's complaining, yes, because I've put it as a function and it is an enumeration, so I don't need to put the two brackets or the curved brackets. After I have opened the connection, now I need to perform or to execute the query. So I will say command dot execute non query, which is a function. Then after we've done that, I need to close the connection. I'll say connection dot close, I will also dispose the command object. I'm disposing so that the database is a very precious resource, and I need to dispose the objects once I've done using them, so that they can be able to be collected by the garbage collector, and it will really save on memory. It will really save on memory, and it's a good way to manage memory. So I will save this project. As far as we are concerned, this is how we create a trigger, and therefore I will run my project. So it's building and it's loading. So if I do insert, we can see that still there are more details that are going to be put, but there is nothing happens here. Now, but the moment I say, or I click on create trigger and I say insert, now we can see here a log has been recorded or has been inserted in our TBL log. So this is ID number 5 and it has been captured ID 5, and this is Michael and has been captured as Michael. So as I continue to insert, you can see ID 7, ID 6, and the name is still the same, Michael. So we have already created a trigger. So when an insert event or when an insert operation happens, the trigger is performed and we are able to insert information to another table. But you can use it in so many ways. This is just a way to show you how to use triggers. And before we finish this tutorial, we are going also to learn how to drop the trigger. So I will close that form, and here I will double click on the drop trigger, and I will just copy paste because we are going to use the same information. The only thing that I will change is the SQL statement, and here I will say drop trigger. So it's as simple as that. And the name of our trigger here was audit log. So I will copy that and I will come and paste that, and I will save my project, and then I will run once more. So it's building, it has been successful, and that's my project. So as I continue to perform more inserts, you can see 9, here 10, and as you can see also this is 10. So this has been captured. So the reason why I've run the trigger has already been created, so that's why we created it when we ran our project in our in the previous time. And now if I click on drop trigger and I do insert, here there is nothing that happens. You see, this is still contact ID number 10. You see, this is still contact ID number 10, but this is 11, this is 12. They only it's because you can see coming at the top, because it's being refreshed every time I click on the insert contact button, but still it has remained on ID number 10, and here we are in ID number 13. So I click, still this is ID number 10 and this is ID number 14. I will also say create trigger, and I will insert. This is ID number 15, and here we can see there is ID number 15. I will click on another insert, ID number 16, and here at the bottom you can see there is ID number 16. So I hope you enjoyed this course, and I'm pretty sure you've got some ideas on how to implement triggers in your project, and have a wonderful time.